I missed it. That entire thing was all about hitting this key, and instead I hit that. Buzz Aldrin was the second man to set foot on the moon. He did not get a chance to say, "One small step for a man, one giant leap for humanity." But Buzz Aldrin had an interesting way of looking at what he was doing that I found very helpful in my life. Very helpful. Very important to my career. To my staying out of jail, for example. Meaning, it's taken me a long time to learn this lesson. He was interviewed by a woman named Terry Gross, who had a program. Maybe he still does, I don't know. Fresh Air. Wonderful program. I don't listen to nothing no more. So I don't know if she's even around, but very good interviewer. My mother turned me on to her. So she asked Buzz about, what's it like? What did it feel like? Knowing that the whole frickin' world was watching you. That's what I like about Terry Gross. She wasn't afraid to say frickin' and flukin' and flockabagokalaka. She said whatever she wanted to say. That's too loud. Sorry, everybody. She'd just go ahead and say. Basically where he came to, and this is a result of years of discipline that allowed him to make sure that his head stayed the size that it truly was, because fame, well, we see it destroys people. They lose it, they lose themselves. And that's why those of us who have come to fame more late in life are much happier, much less worried about nonsense. We figured out how to get what we need from our fame. I mean, being famous means what? Does it mean that you did make lots of money, or that people actually give a shit about what you do? Enough to give some of their time, their most precious time. So Buzz says that, okay, basically, he just was too focused on the many things that he had to do. He absolutely, he had to be right about every freaking thing he did. Sure, there's some room for slack, except not in some areas. It's sort of like, yeah, you can get away with this and this, and you get away with this usually, but not this time, So that's the kind of absolute attention to, look, we don't know what's always the right thing to do, but through trial and error, we've decided that, statistically speaking, when the ship is, this might be a piloting kind of thing, when it's going like this, you've got to overcome maybe some intuition here, because we've got statistical evidence saying that these kind of circumstances, you're likely to do worse if you do it this way than that way. And you've got to learn the discipline of saying, the inside me just, okay, fine, it's fun being, I might die, oh boy. And really, think about it. If you were I like say a test pilot or an astronaut, the prospect of dying in the midst of doing something like you like, and most likely you'd die pretty quickly. You wouldn't be like the Apollo 13 guys. That's a pretty scary thing. I saw actually a quite interesting movie. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. I mean, good, interesting, enjoyable, engaging, and it was all about this cosmonaut. It's sort of it's pseudo. I mean, it's very possible it really happened. You know, but it doesn't matter. It's talking about this was Soviet era space race, and there's this upcoming flight for which a woman is going to be. She's going to be the first one. And you learn through the dialogue that there is, because this man, the man and the woman fall in love, and they really are right for each other in so many ways. It's just that there's also a little thing called competition going on here, because one or the other is going to be the one to go on the, get picked for the next mission. And she was picked. But then they find out that there's a problem that will take at least X number of months to solve. And in the space race, perception is everything. And after all, this mission might be okay. The problem might be, might not be a problem. But you see, it turns out that the woman, the reason she's there is because her parents are very high up in the party. Very high up. And that was her, ticket in addition to being an extraordinarily talented, brilliant, hard-working, everything the best type person in her entire life, which, of course, is a little sick, and you get a little lonely. And a woman like that finds the possibility of being in love with a man who is basically her counter, the same version. And he was fine with her being chosen for this mission, except she gets yanked, and he gets put in. And he understands what's going on. He doesn't tell her. She doesn't talk to him anymore. What did he do to ruin her? He beat her. She took it personally. She was a little child. They all are. Anybody who spends their entire life being the very best, better than everybody else, is a child being forced to do this stuff and never grows up. And so instead of realizing that, my God, this guy is, why did it happen? Well, it happened, so still love him. I mean, it's dangerous up there. Which, by the way, she finds out later, yes. Yes, it was dangerous. She was the one who was she was going to go on that one, but because of her connection, she got pulled. This guy, his parents, his father died in the war. He was a hero. That's why he got his break. See, that was his break in. His father was a hero who defended a whole group of people. He was the head guy, and he did something, and he died. And so that many people could live. And that was how come the man got in. And now he's the one that's going to be allowed to just go off. The movie has his only contact be with a man who's based in off the coast of Italy somewhere, Malta or something, and he's just based there listening in, and he hears this distress call, and he can't believe what he's hearing. The guy's saying, "I am apparently out of touch with my base, and I am no longer in control. I cannot control. They have to lead me back, and I've lost communication with them." So this guy, I mean, mean, he was, sleepy guy. I mean, drinks, he's hanging out on this outpost, listening all night to blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, holy shit, there's a cosmonaut up in space who can't land because he's lost communication. Contacts. He uses telegraph. Yeah, this is in the 60s. But yeah, he's doing this is secret stuff, whatever he's doing. He wasn't just, going the normal route, And so he gets in touch with the Soviet embassy. And then he gets a telegram back. You must be mistaken. There ain't no such mission. A little puzzler for which I myself know not the answer. Be kind of interesting if you want to try to find out the answer. How many shareholders themselves or relatives of shareholders of the Fukushima nuclear power plant risked their lives to go in to put that thing out? How many have died now since then? I mean, not just risked, given their lives. There were people who gave their lives by going in there. How many of them are stockholders in the Fuji whatever? Who should be going in and cleaning up? Who? Some people who get paid a lot of money because they're trained? You know what? Okay, maybe we need to use a trained person, but excuse me. The punishment is not so much the punishment. The justice calls for the owners, to do something, including if people's lives are going to be risked, the owners. The higher up they are, the more to the front of the line they need to be. And we can actually say that that's justice, whether the legal system as much to do with justice as money has to do, with might being right. Okay. If you think that might is right, then our justice system is very effective. Most justice systems are worse than ours. The United States has one of the better ones in the world. So the fact that, it's not as if we're saying, oh, well, what about? Our being better is better than not being better. What it means is that, okay, we have a better opportunity. We've got a more robust political system. And justice can be put under the control of the political system. And we have a system that has been tested at various times in our history, including right now it's being sorely tested. Because for the first time in history, we really seem to have all the mechanisms in place, specifically technology, computers, and all of that, all the willingness of the people to just say, oh, instead of talking face to face, we'll start texting, which leads computer programs to tell us who our friends should be. what we accept as not as anything less than outrageously criminal behavior from our leaders. They're criminals. They're not Democrats or Republicans, not liberals or conservatives. They're criminals and servants of the owners. The ones who say, we got our money the way we got it, and that's why the government has no right taking it away from us. Why should we pay taxes? We drive the economy. Hi, how you doing?
I was wondering what that tapping sound was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
it was like toot 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 toot. Yeah.
Well, it's rhythmic. So this is being recorded. So I've got two recorders. This is the piano one, and then I've just got, I've got a screen recording and an audio recording going. Because you know why I've started doing that? Because freaking Apple, both the iMovie and QuickTime that's built in, are not reliable about synchronizing the video and the audio. It's like, what? I make a movie in this thing, and then I put it in an iMovie, and it starts out okay, and then over time it's got this drift. And I finally said I couldn't figure it out. It was inconsistent too, because sometimes it would work, and other times it's just drifting. And trying to fix that, I went through a whole thing. I could say, okay, I could fix it I could fix the drift but I started going, holy shit, I could spend 20 hours fixing the drift on this 20-minute thing. Yeah. So I came up with this thing where I always make an independent audio.
Okay.
And then I've got to synchronize it. But then it's okay. So. So I think this would be a very good time to just put in the sandwich message. I'm so glad you came into my life. I'm feeling your smile, that's what it is. Right now I'm feeling your smile. And so I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to see if I feel okay with it. If I do, I'm going to put it up, and then I'm going to come, and I'm going to show you what then I'm going to, well, if you're interested, I'll tell you just exactly what I mean when I say I Well, what kind of proposal I'm making? To you, specifically to you. You're going to be around until Christmas. Then I don't know where you're going. I think you don't live here, right, in New York. I'm pretty mobile, and I'm not really looking for anything in particular, but I sure wouldn't mind getting to know somebody who, well, you're kind of stuck in one place between now and Christmas time, and well, here's the story I'd like to see. We make our friendship, or perhaps if we could call it, we could go a little further, our affair perhaps, whatever it is, our steamy romance, or our platonic, figure out how to stay at it. Well, maybe we need to. Maybe you've got some kind of attachment, right? Which we both must respect. That's fine. That's it. But that doesn't mean nothing. That doesn't mean we can't be friends. So that's what I'd like to propose. And I can tell you, not promise you, I could just tell you the way I am. And based on the way I am, I believe I could present evidence in a court of law that would back me up on this. That I have been moving more and more clearly, more and more of a focused direction towards learning how to see the positive in each and every moment. See each moment as precious. And see the potential of just being nice to a person, having a person be nice back to me. And I'm a boy. I'm 59, but I've never had really what I wanted when I was 11, 10. When I first started hearing about sex. And I thought, what's that about? I don't care about that. I just want to be nice to a girl. I just want to be friends. I want to hug and kiss maybe. But maybe that's too much. Hold hands. Whatever. Just be nice together. So I guess I'm saying I'd love to think of you the way I would have thought of you when I was 10. Which is, wow, I don't know what it is. Why do I feel so good when I think of the way you smile? It's not that nobody else in the world has what you have or anything. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference if people have more or less. Or anything. That just isn't part of my love for myself, for now, and for a person who I met, who I really feel possibilities. That's all I want to say is I feel possibilities that you and I could be really good friends, maybe even partners in the kind of arts kind of thing that I do, and maybe you want to join at that level, as a parroter, and. But I'm saying at this very moment in my life, I don't really need a partner. I'm doing fine in my work. Everything I'm doing, I love to do. I love my work. And I know I'm going to meet all sorts of wonderful people. But I'm a good enough person. Gi is Gi. G-E. Some people say G. G is G. It's fine either way. Gi is Gi, G is G. Good enough is good enough. With love, what more do you need than openness? And I feel, well, I'm open, so I feel love comes from inside me out. And if what bounces back at me is some sort of weird distortion, well, society does that to us. Society makes us doubt our own hearts. I know there's it's a sonnet, right? Doubt not, doubt this, doubt that, but doubt not something. So, doubt anything you want about me. But please don't doubt that I'm a nice guy. And that I'm an honest guy. And I try my hardest. screw up. And if I say, I love you, I'm not just talking about a feeling that you elicit in me. I talk about a determination to act in such a way as to nurture whatever good that has come between us. And to let it, just allow it, and protect it. Let it grow and go wherever it wants to go. Wherever it not wants, that's not even the right word. Just let it go where it goes, and that will be for the best, of course. It always is. So that's it. Hi. Just one thing follow-up. So I recorded that the day after I met you, and I want you to be I want to just make it clear that, well, you're kind of a captive audience if I were to so choose to use you that way. And, well, to a certain extent, actually, that's what I do. I kind of captivate my audience by making myself be my first audience. As right now, I'm the first one to experience what I'm doing right now. And through parroting, this thing that I have developed, which has revolutionized my mind. The conductor of my mind's orchestra. This parrot, self-educated. Electronic parrot is a tool for developing your mind. Very powerful. But there's one thing I need to say to you, young lady in particular. I realize I thought about this. Very important. And I'm just very serious, straight out. You've got to invite me back to your place. You could say, come, stop by. And you can do it. You could, an email. You got to do it somehow through this website. You could, leave a comment. That's really the best way. Just say, hi, I'm Miss Christmas Tree Girl, or CTG. I'm CTG. If you want, you could make up initials. Cynthia Teresa Gabrielovich. Yeah, that's who you are. Cynthia Gabriella. No, Gabriella. Oh, forget about it. Ah! So, wait a minute. So the important point, did I make the important point? I might not have. That's one of the things that has driven everybody near me crazy. And that's why I want to just say, I release you from any obligation to me from now on, ever, That's important. I don't want you to ever feel obligated. And I've decided I refuse to feel obligated. I will think about what I can do for a person. Do I have the time or the resources to help a person out? Now, has that person helped me? And that's not the end. Sometimes when people they're not in a position to be helpful. If you say you're very close to somebody, very tied to somebody who's got a serious depression and just cannot see outside of the world, this kind of world, well, you can't expect that person to be helpful and kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent, especially if they never were a Boy Scout. So, have I made it clear? I think I have. I'll just say it one more time so I'm sure. Right, you have to invite me, otherwise I will stay away from you. That's right. And I do it out of respect for you and for me, it's just the right thing. And I work to do the right thing. And so I'm kind of hoping that you'll not be afraid of me, like so many stupid females. Oh. And to just to be fair here, I don't know how much smarter men are. It's just that I don't really go after them, So that's why I can just speak about the flavor of human crazy wookie wook that I happen to be familiar with, because most of you females have been taught it's not that you were born this way. Females are supposed to be. Ooh. So I actually think you're not. I could be wrong. No, I mean, and what I'm sure you're, yeah, you probably are a female, meaning you are kabuki in some way, just like males are in their own, in our own way, right? It's not. That's the whole point. That you might have something really wacky about you that I will find out, and I'm not worried about it. That's the thing. I'm not worried that I might find that you're really very clingy and stuff, because I would just say to you, look, don't cling too closely because you're going to drive me away. Let me teach you how to hold me as tight as you want when we're together. And then let me be myself. Let me do what's right, what my heart says for me, just as I say that to you. So, I think I'm getting better at the language of love, and it's kind of fun to say, look, a lot of what I'm saying to you, I've like practiced as part of like a show. But the really nice thing is, I mean it. I really mean it. I'd love to be in love with you. I mean, I already am. That's the thing, and it's fine. You see, that's why I don't need any more than what I already have from you. I didn't ever need anything more than what I have from you. That doesn't mean it's not whatever I get from you is not going to be wonderful. It's a bonus. I don't need anything from you. I think that is what I've just finally decided. If I really I can't do something on my own, I should definitely ask for help. That's the right thing to do. Take care of myself, and that includes asking for help. It's very important to be willing to ask for help. But it's always, of course, a lot easier to ask for help, if you have given help. And that's one of the very common sense ways of defining something that's shrouded in mystery: karma. Karma is a law, the same way gravity is. It's not as easily measurable. It's not as absolute because it's a law of human energy flows. Some might say larger than, well, right, because we're inside of it. It's humans within. I think it's really, I personally I don't think about the karma that's in a dog. Though maybe. I mean, but you see, wait a minute. Karma, that's this bullshit, this reincarnation shit. Fine, if it's true, it's true. I don't mind the fact that maybe I was a dog before, whatever. Whatever, baby. Whatever was before I was born and will be after I die. Was before I was born and will be after I die. I have no, say in that matter. So, when I'll find out then, I mean, actually, I'm not too worried about it because the time flew by. The eternity that happened before I was born, it just flew by like that. And as much as it's hard for me to imagine eternity flying by like that after I'm dead, well, I'm not worried about it. It's what I mean to say. It just doesn't matter. And I think I know exactly what's going to happen. Exactly. Except it's if I think about it, what do I mean exactly? No, I don't know how. I just don't know what's on the other side of the end. After time ends. Or before time began. Oh, that's my TMJ disordering. So the guy says to me, well then don't deep throat so much. I go to the guy to say, look, I have this pain. He goes, well, do you swallow? I say, of course I swallow. What are you talking about? He says, Just don't deep throat so much, and you won't have that TMJ disorder. That's what he says to me. I mean, just out of the clear flabbucking skaboo. I didn't say anything about my sexual proclivities or nothing. He just says it to me. Can you imagine that? Anyway, Peachykins, and that you have to accept that I'm going to call you whatever comes into my head. And it's always, well, just please accept it as what it is. It's purely a term of affection. It's what it always is. There could be some meanings between, Peachykins and Booby Pie. You know what I mean, Booby Pie? You see, actually, I might not use Booby Pie because Booby Pie actually is something else. And I really want to go and say, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to what I'm going to do. I think when you'll find out. Well, we'll both find out. I need to predict now what I'm going to do in an hour and a half from now or even more.